Welcome to the Capstone project. So this is a project that we will do using all of the skills we have learned so far. So let's get straight into it. So for a short recap of this course, we first looked at variables and how to use them, and then we took a look at loops, for loops and while loops, as well as when to use them. And we used for loops when there is a set amount of iterations required, and we use while loops when we want to run the loop indefinitely or until a statement is proven true. Then we also looked at if-else statements and how to use them to execute code conditionally. And finally, we looked at functions and how you can use them to shorten repeated code and make programs simpler. Through this, we also took a look at the random library. So, what is the Capstone project? So, this Capstone project will be rock, paper, scissors. And to do this, we'll use functions, if-else statements, and loops. And we'll also use the random library, specifically its random choice function, so that the computer can make a random choice between rock, paper, and scissors. So how it should work. So the player should input rock, paper, scissors, and subsequently the computer chooses a random choice out of rock, papers, or scissors, and then the player and computer can win based on the regular rock, paper, scissors rules. So, as a short explanation of how to win, if the player and computer choose the same, it's a tie. And if the player chooses rock and the computer chooses scissors, then the player wins, or else the computer wins. If the player chooses paper and the computer chooses rock, then the player wins, or else the computer wins. And if the player chooses scissors and the computer chooses paper, then the player wins, or else the computer wins. And if it's none of these, then it's invalid. For example, if the player did a typo, so then it becomes a tie. So now it's time for you to go try this yourself. So try to implement functions, loops, and if-else statements to make this work. And after you complete it, come back to this video for a short explanation. Or even if you're stuck, you can come back to this video for a short explanation on how to write the code. So now let's get right into coding the function that determines if the computer or player wins. Okay, so now let's get started with coding the winner function. So let's just define a function called winner, and it'll take two parameters, player and computer, which stand for the player and computer choices. So if player equals computer, which is the first thing, then it's a tie because they're the same. And then we'll use elif, and let's go from rock, paper, and scissors. So if elif player is rock, then we'll do a nested if-else function. So then if computer is so rock beats scissors, so if computer is scissors, then the player wins, so return player. And if not, then return computer. Right, and then we can do this same process for paper. So player equals to paper, then if computer is rock, because paper beats rock, then return player, else return computer. And now we can do the same thing as well for scissors. So now we have it done for scissors as well. So if computer equals player equals paper, then the player wins, otherwise the computer wins. So now the last case is if the thing that the player inputted is a typo or not part of rock, paper, scissors. So then we can print cannot understand what you typed, give a colon, and then we can concatenate. Let's convert a string first, and we can concatenate the player answer to print as well what they wrote. And then we can also print choose either rock, paper, or scissors. And be careful to do this in lowercase as well, because it's case sensitive. So if the string is rock with an uppercase R, then it won't take the input. And then we can return a tie. So to play the game, we should first figure out how the computer will choose between rock, paper, scissors. So first up here, let's just import the random library. And then we can choose a choice out of a list of choices. So we can make the choices list here, which is rock, paper, scissors. And then we can assign a computer choice variable. Let's just name it computer choice, which can be a random choice out of the choices list. So just like that. And then the player choice variable will be an input from the player. So choose rock, paper, or scissors. Right here. And then what we can do is we can store the winner in another variable. And so how it will calculate the winner is we can go back and call our winner function. So the winner variable can be assigned to the winner function of, and the first two parameters are player then computer. So we'll put the player choice first, followed by the computer choice. Okay, so this is the basic function, and now for the output of what the user actually sees, we can do some formatting. Okay, so what we can do is first print out what the computer chose, and then upend the computer choice here. And these lists is all just strings, so there's no need to convert to string here. And then we can use an if-else statement to determine what to print, whether to print it's a tie, whether to print you won, or to print you lose. So if the winner, which is this variable right here, the return output from the winner function, so if winner equals tie, then print it's a tie. Elif winner equals player, then print you won. And then else, there's nothing left, so we can print you lose. And let's add a sad face there. And then just to format it well, for the next try, we can print some dashes at the end, followed by a backslash n, which puts it into a new line. So let's see how our code functions. Run our Capstone project, and this is the first thing that pops up. So for the user to choose rock, paper, or scissors, so let's just choose rock. So the computer chose rock, and it's a tie. So now this only ran once, right? So let's figure out how to make it run multiple times. Okay, so in order to run this code multiple times, we can simply choose a for loop. So let's say we want to play 5 times each time the code is run. So for I in range 5, we just indent all of this to be part of the for loop. And notice I'm keeping the choices outside because we don't need that list to refresh every time we play. So let's see how this plays out. Alright, so I've got our Capstone project code fired up here on Replit. So let's just go ahead and run it. Let's choose rock. This time let's choose paper. And see, here we're getting an error, right? So it says type error, the string object is not callable. And the line we have the problem is this one right here, line 31. So basically the problem here is this winner variable and the winner function have the same name. So the program is basically getting confused. So to avoid this, we can change the name of the variable, right, to something that's not the same as the function, so that it remains, so that this if-else statement checks with the variable all the time and doesn't get confused with the function. So we can change this here as well. Now if we run it again, it should be working properly. So let's try rock, paper, scissors, and yeah, it's working fine. One more, and as you can see, it's working properly now. So when dealing with functions and storing them in variables, make sure that the variable isn't overlapping names with a function or a default Python function or anything like that. Congratulations, we just finished this Python basics course and we just completed our Capstone project. And I hope you guys have really enjoyed this course and have learned a lot out of this, and also developed a passion for coding throughout the process. And with this basic knowledge, you're now ready to move on and experiment with some more advanced concepts.